Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to another edition of Savings Minus Debt. I'm your host, LJ Young. One second. How you guys doing tonight? A little late night one. Give everybody a chance to jump up in here. Catch me on a late night. I hope. I usually don't do this, so I'm sure it's taken people by surprise of me doing it this late. Anyway, let me give you guys a few minutes to get up in here. Welcome, everybody. Log out of a few things here. Keep some things from distracting me, For those of you that are new to my channel, my name is LJ Young, and I am a 100% debt-free motivational speaker, conscious debt-free motivational speaker, and personal finance educator. I help people become financially free by helping them financially see outside what I call the debt matrix. And the debt matrix is a place. What's up, Mike? The debt matrix is a place where everybody lives that believes in credit and debt, things of that nature. They believe debt is just part of life. They believe they can't buy anything without credit. They believe they are homeowners even though they got a mortgage. They believe affording a car means you afford the car payment. And they also believe in 30-year mortgages. Like, never once asking why. Okay, it's just this is where everybody lives. And what I do is expose what I call the glitches in the debt matrix. And the glitches are things that don't make mathematical sense. I point those things out. I'm like, hey, see, you know what? If you finance a car, nobody gets a finance car on sale. If you finance it over 5 years, this is the number you'll really be paying. Beside, not the price that you saw on the window of the car. You'll be paying this after the end of 72 months with interest rate, blah, blah, blah. So I show them that and I'm like, hey, this is what's keeping you living paycheck to paycheck, and then sometimes it turns on a light in somebody's head. Sometimes it doesn't. Some people get it. Some people don't. What's up, Dave? What's up, Hyphy? Hey, LJ. I was just catching up on some of your debt freedom videos. Hey, Dave, I appreciate you following them, man. I got a lot. I was thinking today, I was like, I know some people follow me and they hear me talk about debt freedom. They hear me talk the language of debt free between a few people in here like myself, Hyphy, a couple other people, Cosmic Wisdom. It's a particular language that you learn once you become debt free. But if you're in debt, you've been in debt all your life, you probably just think that debt is just part of life and therefore have always been in debt, probably born in debt. Okay. So, I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing to talk bad about you, but if you wanted to get out, you just do mathematics and you would get out. So I was thinking, how could I help somebody in debt see what it's like without actually having to physically get out of debt and still be able to see what it's like? And I came up with this, okay? I've come up with to play Monopoly. All right? But this time you play Monopoly by the following 3 rules. Only play by the rules on the box. Never finance anything. And 3, make sure you are the bank. That's it. Okay? I'm going to say those rules one more time. 3 rules. Number 1, only play by the rules on the box. Number 2, never ever finance anything. If you can't pay for it with cash, you don't buy it. Okay? And lastly, number 3, make sure you are the bank. Okay? You play by these rules and you'll know what it feels like to be in the world of debt freedom. Okay? And then here's an additional piece. Play those same rules in the real world and it will work for you too. Use the same 3 rules that I just gave you how to play Monopoly. So play with your friends, play with anybody online. It doesn't matter. The majority of people are in debt. So 9 times out of 10, all the other players that are playing against you will be probably be in debt. All right. So don't worry about that part. Just play by these same 3 rules and you'll understand what I mean. Okay. You take what you've learned, what I've just shown you from the Monopoly board, you take that to the real world because it will be the exact same thing. Now you're probably asking yourself, how do you know that? Okay, I get it. That's a question. Like, how do you know that, right? Because the people you play against, they don't know anything else but debt. So they whatever they're doing on the Monopoly board, they're doing in real life because they don't know any other way to do it. They're in debt. That's how I know. Now, again, you're probably thinking, no way, Linnell, it could be that easy. I'm giving you guys the try it out, know it all to see if what I'm saying is true or not. I'm telling you how to do it. Try it out on Monopoly, and you let me know if I'm right. What's up, R Carp, Amina? And then when you see it, I want you to come back and say, how did you know that? Okay. And then the only thing I'm gonna say to you is by the rules I just told you on Monopoly. That's how I know. Now, still, you're probably gonna think, and it can't be that easy. Yes, it is. That's part of the that's part of the hidden economy to to make you believe that it's not that easy, but it is that easy. Here's another one so you guys can kind of understand what I mean. You know how have you ever had somebody ask you to invest in Bitcoin? Have you ever heard anybody try to shove that down your throat? Some mystery coin currency or whatever, right? This is all you got to do. Anybody that asks you to invest in Bitcoin, just say, "Hey, can I see your personal credit report?" Their personal credit report will show why they invest in Bitcoin. I'm not going to say all the 100%, but I give it about 90 percentile. Doesn't matter if they know or not. Okay. Math doesn't care if they know or not. That's irrelevant. Math says it doesn't matter what they tell you. Math says believe what their credit report says. Believe it if they let you see it. Now, I had to come up with something new to let everybody know, especially the young people. And let me say this before I forget to say this, right? For you older people about 40, 50, hell even 60, right? That have not woke up. If these young people, I'm going to tell you guys right now so you can understand this, okay? If this younger generation listens to the words I'm saying and actually believes what I'm saying and they actually see how easy it is to become a millionaire, you guys are going to be working for them. Now, I wouldn't worry about it because the younger generation has to fight against the social media because they don't know who to decipher between who's full of crap and who's not. They don't know. All they have to do is just look at the person's personal credit report to see if they're full of crap or not. They don't know that. But I'm gonna tell you, when they do know that, you guys are gonna be working for them, especially if they find out it's just basic mathematics. If they step back and say, "Wait a minute, you mean to tell me all I had to do was first, before I get to $1 million, all I had to do was learn how to count to 1 million. That's all I had to do. Wait a minute. All I had to do was savings minus debt equals the number that I start to count to 1 million. That's what the number is. First, I had to know where to start to count to How was I going to get to $1 million if I didn't even know how to count to 1 million? Savings minus debt gives you the number where you start. If these youngsters catch on to that, oh boy, oh boy. If they say, "Wait a minute, it doesn't start from 1, 2, 3, 4." No, Math says you start from 0. If you're not even at 0, you start below 0. That's what math says. If they catch on to that, ooh-wee. Mm. They said, "I would also ask what their net worth is, and if they don't know what that is, then it's a wrap." Yeah. You know what's so funny about that day? Even even that can be misinterpreted. All right. So that's not even fact. You know what I would say if somebody asked me what my net worth is? You know what I would say? It's in the black. That's all you need to know. It's in the black. It don't even need to be a money number. I'm in the black. Period. There is no mis there is no misunderstanding that. In the black means you are above 0. Whoever's closer to 0 is the winner. Of course, if you're above 0, it's not, but they said this little lady is woke. Okay. One of your older videos, you asked us to take a look at how many things we find. Okay, how many things we finance. That was a sad moment for me. I financed something every year since 2007. Don't even feel bad, Day. I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing. Well, not after next Friday when I'll be debt free. I did the same thing. I financed so many things, man. I financed so many things in my young life. And it's just so crazy. I remember throughout spots and periods of my life, there were things said to me that I just didn't pay attention to. Every now and then I heard somebody say, "Hey, if you can't afford to pay cash for it, don't buy it." I remember that, but I didn't listen. I was like, "Whatever, I got credit." I remember my grandfather saying the same thing. He's like, "Hey, baby, you making car payments?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Ooh, wee." I was like, "Why is he saying, ooh, wee? I can afford the payment." I didn't know what I was saying at that time. Didn't even know. I do now. Nobody gets a finance car on sale. It's that simple. Oh, one more thing for you youngsters out there, okay? All right. This is going to be a very important one. And I'm only telling you guys because I wish somebody would have told me when I was your age. When it comes to finances, remember everything has an opposite. Everything has an opposite. Now listen, only people in student loan debt worry about the student loan debt crisis. Pay yours off and you won't have to worry about the student loan debt crisis. Only people in car loan debt complain about car loan debt. Never ever finance a car. You won't have to worry about car loan debt or interest rate or prices or any. Millions of people are cheating the IRS in some sort of way or fashion. Don't know, do know. It really doesn't matter. Do the opposite. Fully understand it. It's not hard. You don't even need to know. Find somebody that does and pay them their price. Ooh, Jalen says, "Stay woke. So glad I never applied for a CC or finance anything while in college. Last year, when I started my journey to be debt free, I had a I had a awakening moment when my friends balled out with the tax." Oh yeah, yeah. If you never forget that there's an opposite to everything, and think about everything financial happens. You ask yourself, why? Why is that? You ask yourself, why is that? And you always question, youngsters, always question when you hear anything financial and you hear somebody say something, always consider the source. Is somebody in debt telling you the answer or is somebody debt free telling you the answer? So if you hear somebody say, "Oh my God, this student loan debt is outrageous," you know what they're telling you? They're in debt. They're in student loan debt. That's why they hate it. They don't even know they told you. When you ever hear a friend say, "Hey man, I'm not answering that phone. It might be a bill collector." You know why they're saying that? Because they're in collections. They're in debt. Only people in debt have collectors calling them. Always think the exact opposite. If you're not in debt, debt collectors don't exist. Look at a You know how as you get older, people tell you about 30 years student loan mortgages. Only people with mortgages have mortgages. Youngsters, listen. Only people with 30-year mortgages have 30-year mortgages. Do the opposite. Don't have a 30-year mortgage. Pay off your mortgage when you feel like it, as soon as possible. Become a true homeowner. Don't worry about why millions of people call themselves homeowners while knowingly they have having a mortgage. It doesn't matter what they think. Math doesn't care what they believe. You do the opposite. Pay your house off, become a true homeowner. There is no better investment retirement ever on the market that is guaranteed like a paid off house. How do I know this? Trillions of dollars in mortgage loan debt. That's how I know. Jalen says, return. I put mine towards college loan and realized to get my money throughout the year rather than during the tax time. Exactly. You learned well. That's exactly what you do. They don't know why they're getting a lot. People that get tax checks, they believe the government is giving them something. They really do believe that. How do I know that? You can tell by the way they express themselves on Facebook. They're excited about it. They don't know they're just giving too much money to the government during the year. They can just stop it. They can just go and adjust their W-4 and get the money right now instead of at the end of the year. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till I got out of debt. When you look at a 30-year mortgage, right? Never once did I look at a mortgage payment as the minimum payment on the loan for 30 years. And never once did I look at a mortgage payment as like a big credit card that I will be making the minimum payment on it for the next 30 years of my life. And that's only if I started buying a house at 20, right? I wouldn't pay that house off until I was 50. And in order for me to buy a house at 20, I would have had to have all the tools taught to me as I was growing up in the household I grew up in. I would have to know it at that point. In order for me to buy a house the right way at 20, I would have had to been taught knowing how to do this while I was at home from my parents, because this is not taught in school. The one thing I do appreciate school for, teaching me basic mathematics. Know why? Because that's all I need. That's all you need. You only need to know basic mathematics. You don't really need to know anything else. When it comes to money, you only need to know just basic mathematics. That's it. I hope you 20-year-old, 30 years old, 30-year-olds. I hope you guys are hearing me. I hope you guys are listening. This move alone will help you skip a whole lot of hurdles. All you gotta do, like at the title of this video, play Monopoly with the following 3 rules. Number 1, only play by the rules on the box. Number 2, don't finance anything ever through the whole game. Ever. Nothing. And number 3, make sure you are the bank. If you're playing online, it won't matter. But if you're playing in front of somebody, play with your friends and then play with your family members. It'll work on everybody. Don't worry about it. As long as you play by these 3 rules. Now, when you say this, this is the funny part, okay? That you're gonna because you're gonna have a problem. When you play with them, they're going to have played like everybody else in debt plays, okay? And then you're going to have to say, hey, no, there is no money in the middle of the board. There is no money under free parking. None of those rules exist on the game of Monopoly on the board. None of those rules exist. Only people in debt play by those rules. And then once you show them the rules on the box, hopefully they'll play right. But just let them know you ain't playing unless you play by the rules on the box. Just giving you a heads up because you are going to run into that if you're playing in person. Online, they play by the rules. I mean, it says so true. Do the opposite. It's so easy to see. Juan says, so what's the max amount of years one should pay on a mortgage? I'm thinking about 7 to 8 years, reasonable amount of time, especially if you don't have the cash to make a cash purchase. Yeah, 7 to 8. But you got to understand, Juan, there's many different ways to pay off a house. There are many different ways. And besides the only two ways I suggest ever purchasing a house, number one is with cash, and number two, only accepting the best mortgage rate on the market. That's it. That's the only two ways. Don't ever accept any mortgage under that, ever. Number one, with cash. Number two, only accept the best rate mortgage on the market. That's it. One says, just dump a lot of cash towards the principal over the years, only if you already have one mortgage. Yeah, Juan, that also counts on what type of mortgage the person has. Okay. Some people got some very, very bad subprime mortgages. Okay. So if somebody has, they're 20 years, 10, 15 years in with a VA mortgage and they have zero equity because they refinanced their house so many times, no amount of money is going to, how many years that's going to take for that person to pay down the principal? That's too many years. You just got to let it go. You'll never own that house ever. Ever. So it really counts on how they finance that house. You guys can know all this by playing Monopoly. Everything I'm telling you. This is how you can practice to be a real estate investor, a realtor. This is how you can do it. You play by these three rules on Monopoly until you get really, really good at bankrupting everybody on the board. I mean, like it's just the back of your hand. And then you take those skills and you use the same skills in the real world because they still apply. Because the people that you play against use those same skills in the real world because they know nothing else. Crazy, huh? Now, I know most of you are probably thinking, no way is that easy, LJ. No way. Try it for yourself. I know you guys. Yeah, it can't be that easy, right? Who's saying that? Who's saying that it can't be that easy? Who's saying that? I want to know. You guys can be honest if you don't think that that's true. There's no way it could be that easy. No way. Uber guy says, good way to take advantage and get someone to sell house cash for nothing. Yeah, it's just business. Ain't no big deal. Banks ain't mean. The banks aren't evil. Only people in the debt matrix think that. It's just business. The banks are not fooling anybody. All you got to do is use mathematics and you'll clearly see they're not fooling anybody, okay? They're just doing business. If you did math if you get ready to finance something and you did the math yourself and you were like, oh, wow, do you still think the bank is going to fool you if you just do the math yourself and see how much you're going to really be paying for that car? No, they're not fooling you. It's like, you'll just get up and say, I don't want to pay that much for the car, and then you'll leave. That's it. Dave says, LJ, when you decided to be intentional paying down your debt and became debt free, did you notice other areas of your life improving? Health, diet? Yes. Everything improved. Right now, Dave, everything, and I've been out of debt for like 5 years now, 6, something like that. Every day, the financial puzzle pieces together every single day for me. Every day I learn something new every day. It never stops. The puzzle never stops coming together. There's so many pieces that the average person in debt cannot see because they're in debt. You can ask if everything I'm saying you can prove. I can prove, right? You can go up to anybody you know. Hey, you think debt's just part of life? They'll all tell you yes. This is not a secret what I'm telling you guys that are listening. That's why I'm able to say this out loud on the mic. They can't hear me. Don't believe me? Ask anybody around. Now, you guys that listen to me know I'm not in debt because I've proven it to you. I've showed you my credit report. I even logged into my Credit Karma live on YouTube so you can see that I'm not in debt. Okay, you can see it. Now go out. And so now I've proven to you that you know that I'm not in debt. Now go ask 10, 20, 30 of your friends and ask them, do you believe debt is part of life? I guarantee you 90% of them will say yes. Say this to them too. When you're done, when you say that, say, hey, that's not true. I know a guy on YouTube that's not. They still won't believe you. Then I'm going to say it to you again. They can't hear me. They can't hear you. We can go even a little further on the Monopoly board. And this is the show. I'm telling you guys this to show you so you can so you don't think I'm just full of crap when when I say stuff like this, right? When you start killing them on Monopoly, right? And then they're going to start to ask you, say, hey man, how come you keep winning every single time? I want you to say exactly like this. I'm only winning because I'm using mathematics. Okay. I want you to say that. They still won't hear you. When you say, hey man, how come you keep bankrupting us? How come? Are you cheating? They'll start thinking you're cheating, stealing money from the bank. Don't worry about that stuff. They always think there's another way for you to doing it. That's why it's saying, hey man, watch that dude. He might be slipping out 500. They're gonna think you're cheating or something. Don't worry about that part. Okay. Make sure it's clear that you're not cheating. And just tell them, I'm only bankrupt. I'm only winning. I'm only bankrupting you because I believe in mathematics. They still won't believe you. Go test this. Go play Monopoly. You youngsters think I'm joking. Go do it. And then come back and see me. Go do it. Then come back and sign up for a consultation with me. I'll put you on the right path. I'll lay it all out and I'll say, this is what you must do in your current financial situation to achieve what you've achieved in the Monopoly world. You'll achieve it in the real world as soon as you follow this plan I give you. This is your path out. This is how you do it. You already tested it on the Monopoly board. You see how that works? Yeah, it works the same way in the real world. But you must be debt free first before you can do it. How do I know that? Because you tested it already you tested on Monopoly already. That's how I know. I mean, the things will become obvious. Everything will become obvious. Like here, I'll say something really obvious that people won't understand. Okay. You know, it doesn't make sense to go to school for 4 years and keep your student loans for 20 years. That doesn't make any mathematical, financial sense whatsoever. Tell somebody that. They won't even hear you. Oh my God, college is expensive. This is outrageous. Who's saying that to you? When you hear somebody say, "Man, college is so expensive," first stop and ask yourself, who is saying that to you? Is it somebody that paid their college off in 4 years, or is it somebody that still has student loans after 25 years? Who's telling you that? Of course, the price of college is not going to be the same after 25 years of the loan. I'm telling you all the things. That's why you'll win at Monopoly. And I'm gonna just give you the answer too. If you haven't done it, if you're gonna try it, please come back and tell me. This is how you'll know you'll win. Trillions and trillions of dollars in student loan debt. trillions of dollars in credit card debt, billions, trillions in dollars in finance cell phones, billions of dollars in what else? Student loan, credit card, car loan debt, you name it, furniture debt, whatever. Doesn't matter. That's how you'll win. That's how I know you'll win. Trillions of dollars by you playing the way I'm telling you right now. You're not part of the $1 trillion nightmare, and you'll see how it really works. This gives you a chance of not being part of the $1 trillion student loan debt, the $1 trillion car loan debt, the $1 trillion credit card debt. On this board of Monopoly, you get to play while not being part of that nightmare. See how that works? Let me come back to that because I don't think I answered Dave's question. But when I it's weird. Once I pay down debt, I really did allow to me to focus that time is the most important thing on earth. Day. Time. It's the obvious thing too, right? It's the obvious. You can't get more of it. You can't buy any more. You can't get more no matter how much overtime you work. You can't get any more of that. It's like if once you get out of debt, you understand it's time. You understand that every time back in the day when I had to work overtime and I missed the kid's game, and then once I saw my kid and I said, "Hey man, I'll make it up to you," I was lying to my child at the time. You know why? Because that time is gone forever. I can never get that back, ever. Why? Because I sold the time in my life to my job. That's why I couldn't be there, because I sold it to him. The real reason is the reason why I missed several games of my child's whatever, because I sold the time in my life to my job. That's why. People brag about working 50, 60, 70, 80 hours. Oh, got to get that money. I'd be like, you were crazy. You sold the time in your life for that little bit of overtime money? Whatever. I ain't doing none of that. Jarl says, I see you can make payments on expensive shoes now. Yeah. They wouldn't offer it if people wasn't doing it. Always remember that. When you hear 12-year car loans, Chevy announced a 20-year car loan. When you hear those type of car loans, that should tell you how much debt people are in. To For them to offer a 20-year car loan, people want it because they want that car just that bad. Mazda 5 says, "You are right, LJ. I just looked at my school loan receipt from paying it off. I've had it for 301 months. I don't want to add that up. I was crazy for not paying sooner." Yeah, you don't want to add it up. Just pay it off now that you're aware of it. Because I didn't add mine up. I kept mine for almost 10 years. Okay. Absolutely refuse to add that up. Absolutely refuse. But one thing I do know for 100% sure, let me explain this to you about student loans. Okay. I know now that I'm out. If I didn't pay that student loan off, I would have been a slave, a literal slave until I was dead. There was absolutely no way out of student loan debt. No way. I'd have been a slave until I was dead. I didn't know that. And paying the price for it too at a high interest rate. When you get out of debt, that's people don't understand. When you're in debt, you can't see what guaranteed ROI interest rate is. You pay your student whatever the percentage rate is on your student loan right now, pay yours off, and that's a guaranteed 7-8% that you will never be paying again, that millions of people are. See how that works? That's a guaranteed interest rate for you, guaranteed that you won't be paying it anymore compared to the millions of people who are. Johnny Blaze says, LJ, explain how you set up your mobile phone plan annually. Well, that's on Red Pocket Mobile. So if you go to redpocket.com or redpocketmobile.com, they have They have the plans, and then you look at the annual plans, and then you just read it from there. Play Monopoly. You guys can see a taste in my world, and check it out. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter your profession. It doesn't listen to me, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your it doesn't matter your degrees you have. It doesn't matter how long you've been at your job. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you why it doesn't matter. If you never read the rules of Monopoly with your own eyeballs on the box or inside the box card rules, if you never ever read the rules yourself, that's a major piece of the puzzle that you're missing. Once you read the rules and you see the rules that you have been playing by, only people in debt play by those rules. Nobody wins money for getting out of a jail or landing on free parking. That's not, none of that happens in the real world. None of that happens. Why are they playing by those rules? Because they're in debt. That's why they play lottery, because they think stuff like that will happen. That's not true. That's not even been the rules. If you've always played Monopoly, but somebody else told you the rules, you got to remember you probably learned from somebody in debt and didn't know it. I hope you guys are paying attention, especially you youngsters. You guys are young. You guys can get online and play games. You guys can get online and play Monopoly and play the way I'm telling you right now. You'll see. And remember this. Oh, hey, and you youngsters, remember this. Remember, if you play online, you're playing anybody in the world. Okay. Math doesn't care what country you live in. Math doesn't care what part of the world you live in. Everything will be exactly the same. Okay. Everything. It doesn't matter where they live. Math doesn't care. Math crosses all language barriers, everything. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Math is the same. Johnny Blaze says, "Who do they subcontract for?" You can go to Red Pocket Mobile and choose the towers that you want to run off of. If you like Verizon, go to Verizon. You pick a Verizon SIM. You like AT&T, you choose an AT&T SIM. You like T-Mobile, you get to choose a T-Mobile SIM. You like Sprint, you go with Sprint. You like Verizon, you go to Verizon. It's really that simple. I think I already said Verizon, but that's you get to choose. What they do is just go buy time. Side companies go buy time from the big boys because the big boys own the towers. You can't do any cell phone signal unless you use their towers. So they just go and buy the time from the big boys and then they resell it. That's it. Nothing else is different. Nothing. That the only thing different that you just pay a quarter of the price, and all those taxes that are on regular cell phone bills, those don't exist. Those only exist for people who finance phones. That's the crazy part. They only exist for those who finance phones. Those taxes been over for like 6 or 7 years, man. People in debt don't know that because they got to have the latest and greatest phone every single year. That's why they don't know that. Don't believe me? Play Monopoly. That's why they keep getting bankrupt. When you sit down and play Monopoly in front of somebody, check out all their phones. See if they all got the latest and greatest phones. If they do, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna win. The latest iPhone, the latest Samsung, if they got the latest and greatest, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna win the game every single time. How do I know this? They have financed cell phones. That's how I know that. People with real money don't finance. People don't. People with real money don't finance cell phones. Okay. If we don't finance a car, listen to me closely. If people with real money don't finance a car, you think we're going to finance a cell phone? No. But people in debt say that out proudly. "Oh, man, I didn't have the money for this cell phone. I'm just making $58 a month payments." Okay, and you said that out loud too in front of everybody. You guys don't believe me? Play Monopoly. This is gonna shock you guys that are in debt though too, because you know you're in debt. You're probably in student loan debt, right? Listen, listen. You're probably right now listening to this. You're in credit card debt, student loan debt, mortgage up to your eyeballs. I know you feel like it's just you, but all you got to do is just look at mortgage debts in the trillions, credit card debts in the trillions. That alone should tell you that it's not just you. Okay, and how I can prove it's not you. Now you're gonna be when you play, you're gonna be upset how easy it is that you're gonna win against the people you play. Okay, the reason why it's gonna upset you, because you're now gonna see how financially advantage you are being taken advantage of in the real world. You're gonna be like, "Oh my god, that's me." Yes, that's you. You're gonna see how easy it is, okay? And then if you're in debt, you're gonna be like, "Damn, if I'm doing that to my friends and family, who's doing that to me?" Exactly. I hope you youngsters are listening. Ivy says, "I could never bring myself to pay $1,000 for a smartphone when phones when phones that have all the same features and capabilities can be had for $200 or less. I wouldn't finance a phone if even if it were free." I'm same way, Hyphy. There's no way I'd finance a phone ever. I would never finance. I mean, now, okay, because I did before, because I thought it was normal. But to finance a cell phone now, people have no idea. Listen, Hyphy, people have no idea what they're saying about what they're telling the world about their finances with a finance cell phone in their hand. They have no idea, not a clue. That was me. That was me. I had no idea people like me existed. I had no idea. I mean, then again, it's obvious, but now that I'm out of the debt matrix, but before I had no idea people like me existed. When I was saying that I got a great deal on a finance car, or that I'm a homeowner with a mortgage, I was saying all that stuff out loud in public. It's crazy, man. I kept my student loan for 10 years. I went to college for 4, but I kept my student loan for 10 years, and I didn't see that? I didn't see I Sometimes when I think back, you guys, and I say that to myself, I look in the mirror and say, "I didn't see what prevented me from seeing that? That doesn't even make any kind of sense. I go to college for 3, but pay on student loan for 10?" Yeah, I coulda not financed that car, coulda not bought a house. I coulda paid that student loan off so freaking quick if I didn't finance stuff. And now I see why they finance people with student loans. You know why? Because if they didn't, no one would get approved to finance anything. Not no one, but barely anyone would be approved of, if they chose not to approve people with student loans, the whole economy would crack. It would break. The whole economy would shift. And you youngsters, listen to this. Student loan debt is only second to IRS debt. And the only reason why it's second to IRS debt, because IRS debt you can go to prison, because there's something that you cannot see. Instead of being worried about the 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 power of the IRS, take the time to understand why they have so much power. Take the time. Get out of debt, and you'll see why it's in place and why you can go to prison once you understand it. There's no reason to cheat it. There's no reason to start claiming stuff that don't exist. Don't do because your friends would do. Don't do it because your friends been getting away with it for years. It doesn't matter. Don't do any of that. Only people in debt do shit. Excuse me. Do stuff like that. Sorry, you guys. I don't cuss, but sometimes it gets in me. Right? It just that's how serious it is. You can, I mean, just alone that you can go to prison. That should give you a warning sign to say, "Hey, wait a minute. Let me figure out why is that." Once you figure out why that is, you won't do that because there's no reason to do it. If you don't pay off your student loan debt, you're going to be a slave until you're dead. You're going to be paying your student loans with your Social Security checks, and then you're going to be dead. They says, "Yep, hyphy. I'm still hanging on to my iPhone 6 Plus. I remember paying full price for it in 2015. At this point, it's gonna have to die before I think of replacing it." Yeah, I currently got a Note 8. Note 10 looks nice. I'm a Note person, but I'll probably get the Note 10 in about 3 or 4 years. I'll get it then when it's down to its real price. About 3 or 4 years from now, when it's down to its actually original price that it probably cost to make, that's when I'll buy it. Isn't that funny? That is hilarious, man. Hmm. Not sure what's going on with that. Got to figure that out. Not sure what's going on with that. But anyway, so play Monopoly. Play by the rules. I'll put it in the description of this video once I'm done, so you guys can see. I want you guys to test it out. Okay, it'll change your life. It'll give you a glimpse in what it'll be like for the rest of your life. It will. It will. It will give you a glimpse of what it will be like for the rest of your life if you just do that. Play by those simple three rules. They said, "What happened to when these phones were $300? I had the iPhone 5 for that price, but when I had a contract when check it out, Dave. This is why. I'm gonna give you the exact reason why. They price cell phones that high because they know people are in debt. So if they price them that high, they know people will never be able to afford to buy them cash. They'll never be able to afford to do it. To them, that then they want that phone so bad, guess what they'll do? They'll finance it. That's why they're so priced the way they are. That's why everybody has to have the latest and greatest. They can't afford to buy them cash because they're in debt and they don't know they're in debt. So what are they going to naturally do? Finance it. That's why. That's how you do it. They're caught in the infinity sales circle. It's infinity. Now they're in there. They can't get out, especially if they're in debt. If they're in debt and have to have the latest and greatest iPhone where they're trading in one to get the next one, they're caught in that sales infinity loop. They will never know about true cell phone prices ever. They're in debt. $60. What? All right, you guys, we're going to have to wrap this up because I'm looking at something and reading something at the same time. You try that out. Get back with me. Let me know. Leave comments. Email me. All right. Let me say these things before I leave. Here's my email. Okay. Savings minus debt at gmail.com. Here's my Cash App. Savings minus debt. Cash App. PayPal. Those are for donations. All right. Schedule your free 30-minute consultation right there. Savingsminusdebt.com. Hit the free consultation button and yeah, go from there. and schedule your time. Make sure you choose your time zone. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Friday evening. Bye bye.